And welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we are going to now get into who are the betting odd favorites, betting odds favorites to win the World Series. Now, we did have a baseball game yesterday, Cubs and the Dodgers. Yoshinobu Yamamoto did pitch. He pitched like an inning and two-thirds, I believe, and he was pretty good. Well, he did give up 3 hits, but he did have 2 strikeouts. Scary situation, though, in the game yesterday. Bobby Miller, one of their pitchers, he got hit in the head with a line drive, and he got taken out of the game immediately. Looked like everything was all right. He was able to get up and walk off, under his own power. But they took him out. But yeah, scary situation there. But the Cubs actually ended up winning 12-4 over the Dodgers. And is that a preview as to what's to come for the Dodgers this year? Absolutely not. Has nothing. There's nothing you could take away from this game. Nothing. It's spring training. It doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. But speaking of the Dodgers, so taking a look at a few different sites. So I looked at ESPN, Fox Sports, and also DraftKings. On all of them, the Dodgers are the favorites. The Dodgers are the favorites to get to the World Series and win it once again. On DraftKings, they're plus 300. I think on Fox, they're like plus 270, I want to say. Plus 270. But basically on all of them, they're the favorites. And how could they not be? With the offseason that they had, yeah, they're plus 300 on ESPN. I think it's Fox Sports that they're plus like 270. Fox Sports, they are, oh no, they're also plus 300. So I guess I got the numbers mixed up. But yeah, they're the betting odds favorites. You got the Braves on Fox. They're plus 750. The Yankees are plus 800. The Mets are plus 1200. The Phillies are also plus 1200 as well. The Astros are plus 1500. The Orioles are plus 1700. Red Sox are plus 2200. Rangers are plus 2500. Same as the Diamondbacks. So the two teams that made it to the World Series a couple of years ago, they got the same odds. The Twins actually have the same odds as the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. I kind of disagree with that. But the Padres have plus 2,800. I feel like they would have been higher. I feel like they would have had better odds. But I guess it's also because, they play in the National League with the Dodgers, and more specifically, they play in the same division. They have the same odds as the Mariners, who have plus 2,800. The Cubs have plus 3,000, same as the Royals. Tigers have plus 3,500. Interesting that the Tigers and the Royals now have better odds than the Guardians. The Guardians are at plus 4,000. The Brewers are at plus 5,000, same as the Rays. Blue Jays are at plus 6,000, and so on and so forth. The Reds are plus 10,000. Again, this is on Fox Sports. I feel like the Reds are going to be, well, no, I don't think they're going to be World Series contenders. But I'm curious to see how they do, because now you got Terry Francona back as the manager. So then DraftKings, the Dodgers are plus 3,000. The Braves are plus 750. Yankees plus 800. Phillies and Mets, same odds there. Astros are at plus 1,500. I feel like they should be a little bit lower because they've lost a lot of guys. Now Bregman's gone, Verlander's gone, but even before that, Verlander wasn't really pitching that good for them. Well, at least in the last year or two. But yeah, they continue to lose guys. The Orioles are at plus 1,700. The Red Sox are at plus 2,200. So I mean, the numbers are around the same. But how do I feel about this? Well, again, the Dodgers. I mean, that's pretty much a layup putting them as the favorites because they just won the World Series and they only got better. They only got better. You got Roki Sasaki now. You continue to strengthen this bullpen. You signed the best lefty reliever on the market. Arguably the best reliever on the market in Tanner Scott. You bring him in, and, you got a lot of your pitchers coming back. Ohtani's going to be pitching at some point. You got Yamamoto. You brought in Blake Snell. Glasnow's coming back. I really am curious to see how they figure out this whole pitching staff situation because I guess are they going to put some of the starters in the bullpen? Like, is Clayton Kershaw going to come out of the bullpen? Like, how is this all going to work? They signed a bunch of pitchers, or they not even that, but they just have a bunch of pitchers there. But you know, you got 3 MVP candidates in Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and Ohtani. You brought back Teoscar Hernandez. It's going to be tough to beat them. It really is. The Braves, look, the Braves with a healthy Ronald Acuna are a very good team. They are a very good team. But, you know, the last couple of years has been a little bit disappointing. You know, you lost to the Phillies in the division series, and then last year you got knocked out in the wild card round. But, you know, you weren't necessarily at full strength. You know, and they did lose Max Fried, but you figure they're going to be back. And the Yankees, I mean, they should have the best odds in the American League because I think they are, right now, on paper, they're the best team in the American League. I really like their pitching going into the season. The lineup is the one thing that concerns me because the lineup could easily be a disappointment with some of the guys that they've brought in. And on top of that, they're going to be missing Giancarlo Stanton for a significant amount of time. And when he got hurt last year, the Yankees were a different team. You know, once he came back, then everything was right in the world. But losing him, that affected them more than I think people anticipated. Because they had Judge and Soto. So they figured, oh, yeah, we'll be fine. Nope. No, they were not. But I think the pitching is going to do what it has done in the past, and it's going to carry him. If the pitching stays healthy, it's going to carry him. Because you got Garrett Cole and you got Max Fried at the top of the rotation. I really like Carlos Rodon as a number 3. You got Luis Gil and Clark Schmidt as your 4 and 5. It's a very good rotation. And I think the bullpen, you're not going to have Clay Holmes blowing a bunch of games like he did last year. The bullpen is going to be better. I'm really looking forward to seeing this pitching staff. So, you know, I think, yeah, they should have at least the third best odds, second or third. And then, you know, you got the other teams in the National League East, the Phillies and the Mets. You know, the Mets, the concern that I have is the opposite of the Yankees. It's the pitching. Yankees, I'm concerned about the lineup. Mets, I'm concerned about the pitching. You know, is the pitching going to be able to hold up? Are the guys that were good for them last year, are they going to repeat this year? You know, the Sean Manaeas of the world, the David Petersons of the world. They got Juan Soto, and that's going to help the lineup tremendously. That lengthens their lineup even more. Everybody around Juan Soto is going to benefit from it. Juan Soto bought Brett Beatty a new car, because, you know, he wanted Beatty's number because Soto's always had 22, and he wanted it. So, you know, he went out and he bought Brett Beatty a car. So Soto's already putting that contract to use. But no, that was a very nice thing for him to do. But that's what happens when you get a big contract like that. You're able to do things for people like that. So, but yeah, having Soto in the lineup changes a lot of things. It helps out Lindor. It helps out Alonso. You know, and you know what? The younger players could benefit from this too. Seeing what Soto could do at the plate. You know, he puts together great at-bats every single time. He gives it his all pretty much every time. Knows the strike zone. And, you know, he knows it so well that sometimes it could be his own worst enemy where, you know, he strikes out at a pitch that should be a ball, but the umpire ends up calling it a strike. So, and actually, we'll talk about that in the next segment. Something that MLB is beginning to test out. I'll give you my thoughts on that too, if I remember. But yeah, so you got the Mets, and then, you know, the Phillies. Their lineup is getting a bit older, so you do worry about that. Like, could this be the last run for the Phillies? And, you know, you still got the top 2 pitchers on your team, Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola. And the lineup is still pretty good, but this could be their last run. And right now, like I said, I would at the moment say it's going to come down between the Mets and the Phillies for second. I think the Braves right now. I kind of am leaning towards taking the Braves for the division, but the Mets and the Phillies are going to have to battle it out for a wild card then if it plays out like that. And then the Astros, like I said, they've lost guys. We'll see how they do this year. They signed Christian Walker. They have Isaac Paredes. They got him from the Cubs in the Kyle Tucker trade. But you still got Altuve. You still got Yordan Alvarez. I think they're still going to be, a competitive team. Last year, they got off to such a bad start. And you thought that they were going to be buried for the entire year. But then they got themselves out of it and they made the playoffs. But they got knocked out by the Tigers. So we'll see what they do this year. I'm looking for a bounce back year for the Rangers. I think the Rangers, with everybody healthy, Jacob deGrom coming back and staying healthy, the lineup's pretty good. I think this team is going to be good again. It was just one of those weird things. You win the World Series and then they were flat last year. Adolis Garcia didn't have a good year. Corey Seager was injured at one point. If they could stay healthy, this is a good team. The Mariners are a team in their division also that they got very good pitching, but they don't hit. So we'll see if anything changes there. The Central in the American League is going to be interesting. The Guardians might take a step back. The Tigers, I think, are going to be good this year. The Royals are going to be good this year. They were 3 teams from the Central made the playoffs last year. Who would have thought before the year started? And we'll see if the Twins have anything to say. And then you got the White Sox. So there's that. Then in the National League side, the Diamondbacks with their pitching staff and the Padres, they keep everything together. They're going to be a very good team. The Giants, I feel like, are going to be like middle of the pack. The Brewers in the Central, I think they should win that division. But, I'm not going to say they're going to be the team that goes, all the way to the World Series and makes a deep playoff run. But it just seems like every time they make the playoffs, they get knocked out. So the ones you want to focus on are the National League East teams, the Dodgers, the Yankees. I didn't even bring up the Red Sox, actually. But the Red Sox, I think, will be a playoff team. But I'd put them a little bit lower on the list here. But look, we'll see if anybody can dethrone the Dodgers. It's going to be very tough. We talked about this yesterday, but those are the favorites. So, you have basically the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Braves in the top 3. And then you got the other National League East teams that follow. So let me know what you guys think, though. Which team do you like their odds to get to the World Series? Do you think that the Dodgers end up not getting to the World Series this year? Let me know in the comments. So when we come back from our final break of the show, I'll give you my quick takes on certain topics, kind of a rapid fire to end off the show here. So for one final time today, make sure to stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.